Hi, I'm Susie, and with me today is Jan Withers, president of MADD. Good afternoon, Jan. How are you?
Hi, it's good to be here. It's good to see you.
Good, Jan. Can you tell me a little bit about MADD and how everything got started and what you do as president?
Well, MADD is a wonderful organization. It began in 1980 by a mother whose child was killed by a drunk driver. And she was so angry that society was basically accepting this and saying it's not a big deal, that she decided that there had to be something that she could do. So she started this organization and came to Washington, D.C., talked to the president, and decided that she needed to make a change. So since 1980, MADD has really been responsible for cutting the drunk driving fatalities in half today.
So what kind of legislation are you looking at this year? Are you pleased with how the states are responding to get drunk drivers off the road?
Well, a few years ago, MADD was getting discouraged because we saw that the drunk driving fatalities were staying level. In the 1990s, we weren't doing the reductions in fatalities that we wanted to see. So we went back to the drawing table and we started looking at all the research. And so now we are pursuing things that research shows is effective in reducing drunk driving. So in the states, what we're doing is lobbying for legislation to require ignition interlocks for all convicted drunk drivers. Not just repeat offenders or not those with the high blood alcohol concentration, but all convicted drunk drivers, because we have learned that that is the most effective way to reduce the fatalities. When we started 6 years ago, there was one state that had this. And now today we have 17 states, and we're looking at about 4 more that might bring it onto their books by the end of this legislative session.
Now, under your tenure, have you seen, where every state went to the 08 for the alcohol level? And understand, don't states get, that's kind of mandated now, right?
It's definitely mandated. It's federally mandated. And yes, I was part of that 20 years ago, and not quite 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Yes, that was quite a feat back then, and we worked very hard. We were working to get it in every single state to have the blood alcohol concentration, the illegal level, reduced from 0.10 down to a 0.08. And many states were doing it. But when we finally were able to get federal legislation that would provide sanctions for the states that didn't have it, that means that money would be withheld from the states that did not have it, then the rest of the states came on board. And we know that saved about 1,000 lives a year as a result.
So are you partnering with police officers in various states to get this program started and crack down on drunk drivers and impaired drivers?
We definitely are. We partner all the time. MADD supports our heroes who help make our roads safe. And so we are out there supporting their high visibility law enforcement, their sobriety checkpoints, their saturation patrols. We also like to recognize them, and we do law enforcement recognitions around the country, honoring those who work so hard to keep us safe.
Well, tell me a little bit of personal message, how you ended up getting involved with MADD yourself, if you don't mind.
My daughter, 20 years ago, was 15 years old. It was during spring vacation, and she was spending the night at her best friend's house. And 2 senior boys, the girls were sophomores, they were 15 years old. 2 senior guys came over, and her friend Leanna had a crush on one of those boys, and Leanna's parents allowed the girls to go out with them. What they didn't know is that the boys had stashed 2 cases of beer in the woods. And the boys had already been drinking, and they drank a lot more. The girls didn't drink that night, thanks to Alyssa, I'm told. Leanna's friend told me, or Alyssa's friend Leanna told me. But the boys did drink a great deal. So on the way home, the driver was impaired, and he lost control of the car, speeding over 100 miles an hour. And when the right side of the car was ripped off, Alyssa was thrown out of the right side of the car into the woods. And she lay there in the dark woods until the paramedics came, and she was alert, they told me, and they placed her on the medevac. They medevaced her to shock trauma. And after valiant attempts to save her life, she died about 4:30 the next morning. So I called MADD because I thought I was going crazy. I literally thought the pain was so intense, I thought there was something wrong with me. MADD was there on the other end of the line, providing support and kindness that literally helped me get through the worst time of my life.
And since then, you kind of worked your way up to through the chairs, right?
Yes, you know, I started volunteering with MADD after a while, and I became a certified victim advocate. And so, like I was supported, I wanted to help others walk through those rocky rocks, and I also wanted to make the world safer and prevent drunk driving. And so I started lobbying and getting legislation on the books that helped save lives. So over the period of time, I've done it in the state of Maryland and on the National Board of MADD.
Well, tell me a little bit about. Understand you were on a TV show recently where, I guess, a young lady, a bartender, was a young lady who
Yes.
was fired after reporting someone.
Yes, it was in the state of Ohio, and a woman who is a bartender in the American Legion, and I can't remember the city in Ohio, but anyway, she was a bartender, and she noticed when she came on that evening that one of the patrons was particularly impaired, and she refused to serve him anymore. And when he left, then she wanted him to find another way home, and he refused, and he was going to drive.